Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Minority Reportz podcast and digital series. I am your host, Mona Sheikh. It is Happy Friday. It's not just Happy Friday, it's Happy Friday because of my special guest today. Happy Friday, everyone. James says, glad that Mona is back. Yes, I am. Glad that it's the weekend. Nika says, hi, James. Hello, Nika. So nice for you guys to tune in. I am so excited about my guest today because not only has he been a friend for a while, but he's also a hysterical comedian. And I've been wanting to bring him on my podcast, and he was kind enough to join us and agree to be on the podcast today. He's a hilarious comic. You see him performing all over the place. I saw him at the Laugh Factory recently, and you got to go watch his stuff on Laugh Factory. It is brilliant. Here's my very talented comedian actor friend, Aidan Park. How are you?
Yay! Hello! Hi!
Hi! How's the Friday going?
Oh, it's great. I'm in Palm Springs right now.
You're so fancy. Are you performing this weekend?
No, I'm just here, chilling with my homies.
I love that. I love that you're chilling with your homie. You know, Aidan, I was looking at some of your videos at Laugh Factory, and you were talking about being 9 years old. Like you moved at 9 years old from Korea, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was listening to you talking about how you were obsessed with Sister Act growing up. I was obsessed with Home Alone in Pakistan growing up.
When did you get here?
I moved when I was 15.
Oh, okay. Did you speak English before that or no?
Yeah, we spoke fluent English. So our family has been coming to the States since like the early 80s because I have 4 older brothers, and 2 of my brothers were given expired vaccination for polio, and they got polio because of it.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So wait, can I it's so funny because I haven't talked to you, so I want to catch up, right? But, I don't know what the protocol is. Okay, but can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Okay, cool. So so what's your feeling on the coronavirus vaccine then?
Oh, I'm okay with that because I'm in America and, it's not expired shit that they're pumping up in people's arms. So I'm good with that. The only reason, they got polio is not because of the vaccine, it's because the vaccine was expired, right?
Oh.
Yeah, because the vaccine was expired.
Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson. But, I got Johnson & Johnson and, I'm doing fine. So it's only been 6 blood clot incidents out of 6.8 million, which you can't really, we still have a massive gun shooting problem. We can't get to it.
And I've taken so many Johnsons. So what's another 2 Johnsons?
High five, Aidan. Me too. High five. Johnsons unite.
We gotta eat.
we gotta listen. We gotta eat, drink, whatever we need to do. Whatever we need to do. But I love that story so much because here's your Korean mom having you recite lines because you were talking about how your mom would invite her girlfriends over and you recite these lines from the movie. I mean, did you grow up speaking English in Korea or did you have to learn English when you moved here?
I learned what English meant when I moved here, but in Korea, okay, so my mom was a single mother and we had a little video store and we lived in the back of this video store. In a little room. And our bathroom, we have to like go around the building to go to the public like bathroom for the building. Like that's where we lived. So in like a little mini room in the back of a video store. And so as a kid, I would watch all these movies and there would be like American movies with Korean subtitles. And I would watch the same movies over and over. And so I would memorize all of the words to my favorite movies and could repeat it back, but I had no idea what I was saying, right? So that's what happened with Sister Act. And that's why I was saying things like, you don't earn it! You don't earn other people's wives' fur coats! You know, like I was like copying Whoopi Goldberg, you know.
Aidan, what is it like? You're an only child, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like, even at 9? I mean, like now so much of the taboo. I mean, look, we're both Asian. I'm South Asian, you're Asian, but I think Asian cultures are so very similar. That whole stigma of like, oh, a single parent and like at a certain time. What was that like growing up in Korea? Like, were you like very aware of the fact that you were a single parent child, or was that something like you didn't even kind of think about it?
Yeah. Did I tell you this story?
No, please do.
This is why you're here. I'm going to tell you this story.
Yes.
I went to. We've always been kind of discriminated against. My story is kind of crazy, Mona. I don't know if we ever got this deep, but like my dad had a whole other family on the other side of the country, and he married my mom. But then he was also, this was before Facebook, so you can't cross-check.
Of course. Of course.
So my grandfather found out and threatened to kill him. It was like a thing. And so she raised me by herself at this video store. And I went to school one day, and I'm a flamboyant. I've always been the same. I'm always like, right? I'm not a little.
I love your energy.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, thank you.
The people I met in the first years of my comedy, and you.
That's right.
You've always been so sweet. It's really seeing you. Where I go, I'm like.
Same here.
So I went to school, and there was this kid who, I was like, he was my friend, and I said, hey, let's play or whatever. And he goes, I'm not allowed to play with you anymore because you don't have a father, and my dad told me that is why you act like this. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like what? And so then I went home and I cried to my mom. I was like, Mom, this happened. Aww. Then my mom was like, what did this kid say? What did he say? Holding a rice cooker. It's so stereotypical. She really was. I was like, Mom, calm down. She's like, I'm gonna kill him. And so she got up and she was like, you watch the video store. So she left me alone. It was a different time. Alone in the video store. She was like, take the customers. And I'm like, I don't know how to work the cash register, right? So she goes and she comes back and she doesn't have the rice scooper. And I'm like, oh my God, where she killed him with the rice scooper. I was like, oh my God. She goes, we're going to America. And I was like, now we're on the run.
She's definitely killed someone now. She's definitely killed someone. We have to move countries, for God's sake. That's a big deal. Oh my God!
Rice scoopers in our home.
So wait, did she actually go and confront this kid and their family, or what?
Confronted the dad. So
wow.
I asked about the story over the past weekend because I saw her and I was like, Mom, what happened? She's like, I went and confronted it was a mom. The dad wasn't there, and she was like, hey, didn't your kid told your son not to, like, your kid told my son that he wasn't allowed to play with anymore. What's that about? And the mom had no clue. So she was like, did he? Danny, come here. Dan, I'm making up that name. It was some Korean name. Jungkook. I don't know. Whatever. She's like, Danny, come here. Did your dad tell you not to play with Aidan? He's like, yeah. It's like, why? Oh, because he said he doesn't have a dad. And the woman's face turned white because she was so shocked. She was like, oh my God. And then my mom, apparently, she told me, she said that she was like, a single parent, I hope neither one of you never dies or anything happens to you or never gets divorced. God forbid you become a single parent. And she walked out of there. And that woman was white as a ghost. She had no idea. It was very embarrassing for her.
Right.
So my mom came home that day and she was like, I want to go to the United States. And then she said, where we won't be discriminated against for being a single mom.
She just didn't know that part. She didn't know the other part.
It's better here than in Korea, certainly.
Sure. For sure.
Man.
For sure. I mean, it's the same thing, right? In Pakistan and South Asian cultures too. If you're like a single parent, they just look at the man, of course, never gets the brunt, right? It's always the women. Always the women, right? It's always the women that gets them. The guy's like, oh, I feel sorry for him. There'll be like 10 women lining up to like take their panties off for him. But for a woman, it'd be like, oh no, she's forbidden. When my father passed away in 2005. I mean, my father died young. Like I was like in my 20s when my father passed away. And I remember like people, some of our relatives, like distant relatives in Pakistan, were telling my mom that the reason my father died is because she killed him by like nagging him to death or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, I fucking double dare this bitch to say this to my face. I will fucking punch her lights out. And I was like, how dare you?
I know you would. I know.
You saw the wrath in my eyes. And I'm like, ah. But it's so crass, right? There's no like filter when it comes to our people. They're just like blah blah blah, like fucking filter what's about to come out of your mouth. So Aidan, how do you guys make the journey from Korea to America? I mean, did you guys have family here? Like, how did you guys make that journey?
My grandma had, was a resident here.
Okay.
And so we were going to meet grandma, but we didn't get accepted. We weren't accepted to be able to come here,
Okay. Because isn't she allowed to sponsor her daughter?
It takes years. It takes years and years and years because she's an adult. And so we came in not legally. So we came in through the way most undocumented immigrants come into the United States, through Mexico. No, I'm kidding. That's according to some.
Dude, this just keeps getting better. So I've never heard of undocumented Korean immigrants. I've never heard of that.
Yep, that's what happened. So because we were poor, also we're poor.
Sure.
So we flew to Mexico.
Okay.
And they gave us IDs of these people who lived in the United States, and it was Memorial Day weekend, so we were going to drive through the border because there are so many people in line that they just don't really check. And so they gave us IDs, and the IDs they gave us was they gave me an ID. I'm 8. They gave me an ID of a 14-year-old boy, and they gave my mother an ID of a woman who was 100 pounds heavier than her. So I'm like, oh my God, this is an audition of a lifetime that we can't fuck up, right? We can't fuck this up.
Right.
So we go to the border, and he barely looks, and he goes, go on. And I'm like, so now as an older person looking back, I'm like, oh, yeah, really, all Asian people do look alike. Terrible un-PC jokes, terrible. But if you're listening to my story, I feel like I've earned my right to say some un-PC.
No, you totally earned it, Aidan. You've more than earned it. You've more than earned it. So you guys you're entering what? You're coming into San Diego?
We came to Los Angeles first, and then we went to grandma's in San Francisco. And she was living in a studio apartment. She was a kitchen helper.
Wow.
So we stayed with her. The 3 of us lived in grandma's studio apartment in
Wow.
the Tenderloin of San Francisco. Yeah.
Wow. In the Tenderloin area? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of people don't know about the Tenderloin in San Francisco, but it's a shady neighborhood. It still is.
Shady. I was not allowed to leave the house.
Of course.
We had those elevators, the accordion elevator. And I was like, I was like, so cool, but like my mom, but it was very.
Yeah. How did you? What made your grandmother like travel on her own from Korea to America? She was like, "I'm looking for a better life. I'll find a way to go to America and make a better life."
My uncle we were. This all sounds like a lie, but it's so true. We were one of the wealthiest families, and then we lost everything at around 1983. So we were very poor there
because of a bad gambling. Somebody gambled it away. What, you guys lost your business?
Something that the Park family apparently does not like to talk about. But grandfather made some bad deals in some kind of trading business. Is all I could get out of them. Got it. And he was quite abusive, and it comes to a head in the United States, and we can get to that too.
We're so getting to that. Aidan, I don't think you and I have ever talked about this, but I talk about this a lot because it took me a long time to get over my own shame, because I grew up in a very, very domestically violent household in Pakistan. Then I moved here. There was a lot of domestic violence here in their house. So I know very much about that world because I grew up, and in our culture, you don't talk about it, right? Just like you said, the Park family doesn't like to talk about it. Our family, we don't talk about it. We just pretend like, oh, well, it was just something bad, you know, your dad used to do when he had a temper. Okay, anyways, oh my God, what's for dinner tonight? And you're like, there's a lot of trauma attached to this shit. Like, what the fuck?
It was constant fear of there was, and kept passed down because
that's right.
That affects my mom, and the thing is, like, okay, like, in some ways I try to be compassionate because, like, grandpa also in Korea was domestically abused when he was 9. This was in 1930, so he joined the gang of thieves at 9 years old, walked from Korea to China, got like gold, and then walked back to Korea, and then he bought grandma. So, and he didn't know, there's no internet, there's no training, there's nothing. So he's been, that's all he knew. And, you know, and then my mom also said that he wasn't always like that, except when business started going south and he started stressing out. But also, he had a concubine, is that what they call it? Like another woman living with. So, but that was just what they did in Korea in the 60s. So
that's right. That's right.
It doesn't look good for him, but.
And it's just I mean, who's going to question him, right? What, are the authorities going to show up and be like, you have a concubine, don't hit your wife? It wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah. They were like, oh, it was like, what everybody does.
Yeah, everybody's like, just suck it up, just deal with it. So you got punched in the face today. Go make some kalbi. Who gives a shit? You know, just go do it. You know,
go make some kimchi, bitch. You
go
know,
make some kimchi. Make yourself useful, right? That's you know, that's just the thing, man. So you guys come to America, and then you're like 9 years old, and so your mom starts doing odd jobs. Does your mom start working with your grandma? How does that work?
My mom becomes a waitress. My mom's a waitress, and my grandma is a kitchen helper. And she works for $5.75 an hour, right? And
this is the 80s. Are we talking? Is this the 80s? 90s. Wow. Wow.
So, and this was under the table, so obviously there's no protection. So, you know, they're working. So, so basically, they do this, and. My mom, the story gets crazy, Mona. My mom meets a guy, and she falls in love with him, and 8 months later, he gets into dental school, and he puffs in Boston, and then he's like, come with me to Boston while I go to dental school and help pay the bills for the house. And she was like, and then she goes, I'll marry you. He goes, I'll marry you if you come with me and finish this so that you can get your papers. And then she goes, well, you know, I'm not sure I can do this. And then he goes, or I could just report you to the INS. So then
how is that love, Aidan? How is that love?
It's not love. It's not love because she goes, stays with him for 4 years, and then he dumps her like immediately after. So
did he marry her?
No.
And where are you? Where are you in the 4 years?
So I get left with grandma, and grandma's wonderful, but she doesn't speak any English. So here I am. I can't speak English. She can't speak English. There's no parent. So I'm getting like 1930s parenting, like basically like do whatever you want. I'm not like, and I love her to tears. She did her best, but you know she gambled a lot. She was away a lot in gambling.
Sure,
you know, a woman who would get paid on a Friday, and you know, and then she would get on a Greyhound to Reno, gamble till 4 a.m., get on a Greyhound back to make it back to work the next day. Like that was the kind of woman she was. She was quite.
She sounds like a pretty boss lady to me.
She's a badass. She's a badass grandma, but you know, emotionally not really, you know, aware. And this was after grandfather died. So in the first few months we're here, grandpa dies. And the way grandma told grandpa, like, don't lay a finger on me in America. I'm not going to take it here.
Right.
And then one time he went for her hair, and I was there. Went for her hair and started pulling, and she said, "Not in America!" and grabbed a hairdryer and bopped him over the head.
I love her.
It was so funny because it was like, The irony of somebody bopping somebody over the head with a hair dryer that he can't use because he's bald, right?
And then, so this is when they were like, this happened in front of you?
Yeah.
So where was Grandpa? Was Grandpa not living in the studio with you guys?
Grandpa was living with us until he died.
I see. Yeah. I see. So Grandpa passes away. You can't speak English. Grandma can't speak English. Mom is in Boston. Are you going to school, like, in the meantime? Like, what's happening?
Right. So I run into my own set of issues because I go to school. And I was an A student in Korea. I had a lot of friends in Korea. I had a big community. Yeah. I get here, can't speak the language.
Yeah.
Can't do well in school. Can't communicate. Home life, I was really attached to my mom and she's gone. And so it's like trauma city. It's like, I don't know, like there's no one to talk to.
Right.
And that's around the time where you realize you're gay. So then it's like, okay, I'm also gay. So I really don't have anyone to talk to about anything. And like, I was religious. Like my family was Baptist, like very Baptist.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, Jesus hates me too. So, and so I have this horrible joke. I'm like, I tried to kill myself, but like I was too scared. So I would take like 4 aspirins. Or I would stand down on my balcony praying for pneumonia. Or like I would watch horror movies like Friday the 13th and see people's heads split open, and I'm like, maybe if I'm lucky, he'll walk in here and that'll happen to me.
No.
But it's kind of funny. It's kind of.
I know it's funny and it's sad and it's tragic, but it's also hilarious the way you say it. It's all of those things. It's all of those.
One day I'll be decapitated.
Holy shit, dude! And you're like what, 10, 11 at this point now?
Yeah, 10, 11, 12, 13, around that time.
Around that time, and
I put on a lot of weight, and it's
So, your mom, when she comes back from Boston, she's like, he dumped me, and then she comes back, and then what? Then she goes and gets another job?
She comes back around 15.
Okay.
She gets dumped while we're here in in San Francisco. Right. And then immediately after, she's a beautiful woman, so there's guys coming at her left and right.
Yeah.
And so immediately after, she's like, I really need to do something to get us our papers. So there was a man who had he had a disability. He couldn't stand up. He had like a really successful dry cleaner in San Francisco. And so she marries him. Because, and she marries him in like 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, but the business fails within the first couple of years.
Oh, boy.
And then they're broke. And it turns out the person who was running the business was really his mom, the guy's mom. So he has the business acumen. And then she has this guilt complex, so she stays with him way longer than she should have. And so she stayed with him until I was like 31, actually.
Wow.
Wow. She had to work and he stayed at home and, he really couldn't move. And so it was really...
Right.
It was kind of gnarly. Yeah. That was it. So that's what happened to her. It's a terrible situation, actually.
Wow. And then, so you're coming into your own. When did you, like... I know that I have a Indian gay friend of mine, and I asked him when he came out of the closet, and it was like, he was in his 20s when he came out of the closet to his parents. You have like this very complex situation. He didn't have that complex situation, but yours is a complex situation. When do you, you're 15 and then what? You go to high school, you graduate, and then what? You decide to go to college? How does that?
No, because, so this story gets complicated. So I'm 15 and people would never expect this because I'm tall and I smile a lot. So people just think I'm like, whatever, I'm from Orange County. It's not the case. Everybody's like, oh, must be lucky for you to be so happy, Aidan. Fuck you. You don't know. You have no fucking clue. Okay, so... No fucking clue. I'm like this because I'm like working on it, right?
That's right. This is how we hide the pain, by smiling and laughing. Okay.
People who are like the most positive have been through the most usually, and those people are optimistic because they know how valuable optimism is in changing.
That's correct.
You can't afford to be pessimistic.
That's correct.
Not our cards. Right?
That's correct.
So I graduated from high school, and I did come out in high school in school, but not to my family, right?
Okay.
And I was prom queen of my high school, actually, in San Francisco. So once I came, so I learned an important lesson there. So like I was in high school, and then when I was in high school, and when before I came out, they would pick on me. They would be like, "You're gay, you're a fag," or whatever. And then once I came out and I adopted this attitude, I really like purposefully, I was like, "I don't give a fuck. Fuck you all." And then he was like, "Oh, he's a cool, funny kid." And so I became the most popular kid in high school. Like I won the most popular poll in my class. It's like 800. And like,
wow.
And I became elected prom queen. You can't make this shit up. And the prom king was a lesbian named Holly Duty, who's a fireman, so she has better luck with hoses than I do, right? I
beg to differ on that, Aidan. I think you have luck with it.
Good. Pretty good. I have a lot of practice.
With the hoses.
Yeah. So then I graduate, but then I can't go to college because at that time there wasn't really protection for undocumented immigrants. And I don't have the papers to go to college. And they want to charge me like, what, $200,000 a year to go to college as a national student.
But your mom married a citizen, so she got her citizenship. You don't get it through her?
This is what happened. So she married him, and we did take the blood test for like to become a resident around, but not in time for me to go to school.
Got it.
So it was like my senior year, like around like April, May, was when I got the blood test to possibly become a resident. And that timing is good because around that time, and it still takes like a year and a half. It's like a long. And so I graduate and I can't go to school and I try to get a job and I can't get a job. And then, and remember I had no parenting. So at this point I was fucking everybody in town, honestly, like the gay community. Anybody with an Asian fetish in San Francisco, they slept with me. So, let's be honest.
Were you getting bullied in school, or was it a very like an accepting, embracing, friendly environment for you?
I was bullied before I came out. When I came out, it was done.
Wow.
So that's why I really advocate for people to just kind of approach things like, this is who I am and that's it. Because it was a false confidence. I put it on, but it was a better feeling tone than, no, leave me alone, right?
Precisely.
So when you go, no, leave me alone, people respond like there's something wrong.
Yes.
So this is how I am.
Yes. But even from what I'm listening to you and what I'm observing, there's this thing that you do, like, it sounds like you got backed in a corner and then you're like, fuck you, fuck everything, 0 fucks are given, this is who I am, fucking take it or leave it. Or if you don't like it, you know, I'll get in your face about it. And I think there's just so much power in standing into your, it's so important to like stand in your power. And I feel like maybe as a child you didn't understand that, but that's what you were doing. You were standing in your power. Yeah, do you feel that way?
I do. I think some of the tactics that I took in order to stand in my power were misguided, but I really was doing my best. Like, I would be that cutting. Like,
you have no one to friggin' talk to, Aidan. You are literally doing the fucking best you can. I mean, what is a poor, gay Korean kid supposed to do when he has no one to talk to? Yeah, you were doing your best. You were fucking doing your best. Yeah.
Started at first, though.
Yeah, of course.
It was just best that I could figure out.
Yes.
But shit really hit the fan because when I'm 19, then I'm like, well, I'm fucking all these guys. I should just get paid for it. So I kind of get into sex work on Craigslist. and then that's until I get HIV, right? So I'm HIV positive. I've been since I was 19 years old. So like that's how I ended up that way, and that's why the blood test around the time before that was good, because if I were HIV positive, I could not have become a resident here.
Really? They would hold prejudice against you for being HIV positive?
That is my understanding as of 2005. I can't say it, but I do know that that was a concern.
Wow, Aidan, that's crazy. Oh. So you become HIV positive. Does your family know at this point? Does your mom, your grandma, like, do they know what you're doing, what your lifestyle is, or no?
No, they have no idea. They just know that they're finding lots of cash in my house.
And are they asking you where you're getting that cash?
No, they assume I'm like, I'm just working, and they just kind of accept it.
Okay. I mean, you were working. You weren't lying about that.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, so how fascinating.
And we were all desperate for money. So there was a situation where my mom found $1,300 wadded up in my room, and she took it. And she was like, I just needed it. And then she's just like, so there was like some contention that we were very poor. So, but now our relationship is so great. We talk through
that.
Really hard. Yeah. He suffered so much, and
I mean, you guys have so much trauma to process, so it takes time. It takes time for you to go, process. It takes time for her to process. I mean, you're coming to your own as a person. So when you became HIV positive at 19, did your mom and your grandmother know about that, or they didn't know about that?
No. My mom found out only after I wrote my book, because they finally told her, because I didn't want her to find out through the book.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I felt like I needed to tell her. And so I did. And she was really amazing about it. Surprised me. When I told her I was gay when I was 22, she, cried for 5 days and threatened suicide. So, it was that's growth.
That's a lot of growth. That's a lot of growth, Aidan. That's a lot of growth from that.
Me too. When I was 22,
For sure.
Lucky for me, when I was like 19, that's when I find the empowerment track, which is what I don't think you know this. I don't think anybody really knows this. Like, so somebody sends me to an empowerment workshop, like a mentor, right? He goes, you need to go to this empowerment workshop. And empowerment, what is that about? Taking responsibility for your life and directing the course of your life.
Sure.
And it's essentially good parenting that I never had. And so it blew my mind that I could be responsible for my own thoughts and my actions. Like, all of this I've never had anybody teach me. Like, I would get tax filings from like a job. Like, even when I was like 20, I had a Starbucks job, and I got like one of those tax W-9, whatever. And I had no idea what that was. Like, no one taught me about taxes. Like, it was like that level, right?
Right.
So, that's when I started kind of really changing, because I was like, okay, so I'm a big proponent of empowerment, and I've been studying empowerment now for like 16 years, because it really did save my life. I'm all about like, how do I frame my mind into this way or that way? I got a master level certification in neurolinguistic programming, which is about creating the world through the link. And I kept that all a secret, because I didn't want everybody to know.
I swear by NLP. I swear by NLP.
Yeah. I'm a master.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I did Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within after my father passed away, after I went through my divorce, because I got married young. I got married at 22. I got divorced at 27. And I was just going through a lot. Like, I was just processing a lot. Yeah, I was just going through a lot. And I was just like, I'm lost. Like, I don't know where to go. And then I came across Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within. And believe it or not, that's how I discovered stand-up comedy, because that's what like brought me into my own. So I am a huge, huge advocate of empowerment and, NLP teachings. Huge.
Love that. It changed my life. I love linguistics. Because I'm not, and it's interesting from my perspective. I really had to learn. I had the advantage of coming in and having to learn language like from the ground up. Like, I didn't know about, I had no parents, so for me to learn, I was like a fresh canvas almost, right? Like,
Yeah.
So it was interesting I love NLP. It really changed my life. And, actually, like, that's how I can run, like, 8 shows a month and tour and run 2 businesses and have a boyfriend. And, you know what I mean? Like, I can, like, do that because of NLP. We get super efficient. But I don't want people to think I'm a weirdo, right? So, like...
No, I think people who judge like NLP or like empowering, like self-empowering courses and stuff like that, I don't think have ever actually taken the time to learn about them or get involved in them. I just signed up for Landmark in June.
Landmark was awesome, and you're gonna really love Landmark.
I can't wait. Yeah, I'm
really great, really terrific.
I'm very excited. So Aidan, so you are now what, 22? You didn't go to college. You did the master programming for NLP, right? Master certification. So do you start teaching that? Is that what happens? Do you become like a teacher for it? No,
I have no interest in teaching that at all. Okay. I want to apply those tools to my life. So at first I wanted to be a musical theater artist, right? Okay. And so I, start applying it, and I find some success with musicals. I did 9 productions of Miss Saigon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you go to musical theater school, like a musical school theater or something like that? How did you you just had a natural talent for it?
No. Okay. So around the time I discovered empowerment, I took that and ran it way over the other end, right? So I was 19 and I didn't have my papers and I was just, and so I was like, okay, if I'm responsible for my life and I want to do musical theater, then I better get damn good. So I found the job, I would clean dance studios in exchange for classes, like work study. And I was still prostituting. Well, actually, was I? No, I had like the sugar daddy situation, but but that didn't last long. So I go to dance studios.
I adore you.
And I do, I go to like 5-6 classes and like ballet and modern and jazz, and then I do community theater shows. And I have this voice teacher named Richard Nicole who knows about my situation, so he takes me under his wing and lets me come to his classes for free, his group classes. And so I hobbled together my own program, and I become proficient. I become pretty good. I start working in the community theater in the Bay Area, and then I start working my way up to regional theater. I toured with San Francisco Shakespeare. I did national tours of, whatever shows. And so I get to a level, and then I joined the unions. And of course you have to move out of LA. I would move out of San Francisco. And so I moved to LA at 23 because I had to join the Actors Equity and, Screen Actors.
Yeah. So at 23, you're landing acting jobs you have to land, SAG gigs in order to become SAG, no?
Yeah. So, but it wasn't, theater, I did great. Theater was good. Film, it took me a while because my personality's big. And my approach to life early on, now I'm more finessed, obviously, you learn, but early on was if you don't get something, work harder, which in the acting world backfires because what you want to do is you want to look natural. And so for me to go to acting auditions and not be able to book them, I was like, okay, great. More scene study, more beat work, more books on Strasberg's method, more Meisner classes, more sense memory, more. But all of that just weighs you down as an actor. I mean, if you're an actor,
It burns you out. I did Meisner. I did 2-year Meisner Conservatory in New York City. So I know all about that.
So I know all about that. So
I quit.
Oh yeah, I know all about that. I'm doing my thing with you.
You know about that? I know all about that. You know about that? I know all about that. It was so annoying, Aidan. Some people might not understand. Some people might not understand what we're doing. That's part of the Meisner technique. That, you say something and the other person repeats what the other person said. It's so irritating. I actually, about 1.5 years into my conservatory, I quit because my acting coach in my class was encouraging girls to feel very free when they get on stage. So these girls were going up on stage and being stark naked in like scenes. And he was just like, you should feel free, huh?
Which conservatory did you go to?
I went to the William Esper Studios.
Okay. Is that in New York?
It's in New York City. Yeah. It's one of the, I guess, more considered more prestigious ones.
Great.
And
great until that.
And I honestly used to dread going to the conservatory because I was so lost and insecure because I didn't really understand myself. I didn't really understand my inner being so much. So when I started going there, I was also started going to therapy because I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know how my brain works. All this trauma is like clogging my brain. So I think for you and I think for people like us who come from such confusion, so much trauma and all that shit, NLP is a fucking lifesaver for us, right? Because it just clears things up. It gives us perspective on things.
I get a little bit upset about acting classes, right? Like for young people, because this is the deal. This is what I think, and you tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Mona and Aidan, like what makes us a bookable commodity in this entertainment industry is actually ultimately who we are. Like when Mona walks on stage, you know it's fucking Mona walking on stage. When Aidan walks on stage, it's Aidan. We're not replaceable. And so when we're young, we have a lot of trauma and we don't have an identity that's strong. It's really easy to say, you need to study technique to become that, to become that, to become that. And ultimately, where does that get us? Meryl Streep, there's only one, maybe two of her in the world that with all these different people. You have to be grounded in who you are and sell the essence of you. And where does that come? Where does that come?
100%. If your foundation is shaky, then what are you building on?
Right. You got to know who you are. Because
you got to know who you are.
If I ask you in a movie, what I want is Mona. Right?
Precisely.
And you've got to be a commodity in that way. And I don't think that acting classes lend itself to how valuable that actually is a lot of times. Mm-hmm.
That's right. I personally think that all acting classes should come with therapy sessions, quite frankly, because you're simultaneously learning about yourself, but you're also learning about character breakdown and script breakdowns and beats and Meisner techniques and Strasberg or whatever you're into. So you're learning this kind of skill set, but you're also learning about yourself. But if you don't learn about yourself and you're just learning the techniques, you ain't going nowhere. You're just turning your wheels. At least that's how I feel.
Where it's like, that great analogy from that famous actor. I think it's, I forget her name. Whatever.
Is it Laurence Olivier?
Uda Hagen? Is it Uda Hagen? I don't know.
Uda Hagen. Yeah, she was a great acting coach. Yeah. She was in
class, and she said something like, the coach said, "You're like a shiny apple that's perfect from the outside, but when you bite into it, you're plastic. Like there's nothing in there. Like, and so if you're not careful, your soul." Anyway, we're getting into acting technique theory, but I just think it's like, and I think women. It's horrible for women because now you're funny, right? Like, so you're in the funny category, so that's different.
Yeah.
But for a lot of women, it's like, look, who knows who they are in their 20s? Not that many people. And so you're in your 20s, between 20 and 30, you got to hit if you're going for the pretty girl, unless you're in comedy. So all girls are being told to be a certain way to hit. But if they miss that mark, then they miss that mark.
That's right.
How can you hit that mark when you don't know who you are?
That's right. I mean, the amount of ageism and sexism that goes down, and even prejudice against, LGBTQ community. It's fucking, it's crazy. Look, if you're not a straight white guy, at some point you're getting some kind of shit being thrown at you. Nika here says, I love Aidan. So I just want you to know that. And Jay says, I've been to the Tenderloin, born and raised in San Francisco. And he said, I've seen Aidan on Crazy Woke Asian online comedy shows.
Oh, so hey, Jay. Yeah. Yay. You were there for Mona and you caught me as a bi.
I think he saw you and he was like, Aidan's very funny. And then he saw me and he was like, all right. He was like, Mona's got a nice shirt on today. So Aidan, how did you kind of have, so you're doing all this stuff. How do you fall into comedy?
Honestly, I do musical theater. I get so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. So I come here, and all I get are Miss Saigon, like Miss Saigon productions. I did 9 of them. Did I tell you this? I did 9 productions of Miss Saigon.
That's right. That's a lot.
Like, that's the only way I could work. And I was like, if I don't do something else to be creative, that and like, drink Pepsi. You know what I mean? Like that, like that's not what we went to school for, right? Like, which is funny because, where's your sense memory when you're like, I mean, I guess it is sense memory because you have to taste it. But then they give you a real soda to freaking drink. Just enjoy it.
You're actually imagining Coke while drinking Pepsi. Let's be real. Yeah.
I prefer Sierra Mist.
Mountain Dew. I mean, Pepsi. Delicious.
I love it. So, I stand up out of, those people that everybody hates that. I go into it because I'm like, this will help my career. Because my boyfriend at the time was good friends with Moshe Kasher.
Wow.
Moshe Kasher was booking like guest star roles and lead roles on television, and he had never had any acting training, right? So I was like, well, he's going through stand-up, so why don't I just go into stand-up? And I actually asked him like an obnoxious question. I was like, how do you make money in this? And I hadn't even started comedy yet. I was just asking. And so like he was kind of annoyed with me. He was like, you should just not be a stand-up if you're... And so then, but he had a point, like, right? Because I wasn't really interested. And so I took a class. Yeah. And I just got my feet wet. And it took me 2.5 years to I dawdled. I was like, I don't know. I'm more of an actor. I don't know. And then I did a production of Music Man that took me to the Bay Area. I played Harold Hill in Music Man. And so they took me to the Bay Area, and I got my check, and it was $300 for the week. And that was equity wage. And I was like, I can't live like this. I can't work like this. Throwing myself in stand-up. That's it. And so then I started really hustling. And purposefully taking on gigs that I wasn't ready for, because I did the NLP thing, right? I'm like, I gotta push myself. And so I remember I had like 20 minutes. I had 20 minutes in June of 2014, and I got into the Cleveland Comedy Festival in like September of 2014 or something like that. And so this is the year you started comedy. The year I started comedy, 2012. I was modeling, and then I had like maybe 15 minutes of mediocre material by mid 24. Got it. I said Aidan Park, the big star, as seen on blah blah blah, is coming through your town across America. I sent all these emails, and all these a couple colleges were like, yeah, if you want to come and do like a 45 minute set for our LGBT community. And so I was like, all right, pull it together. So I pulled together 25 minutes and did a shitty job.
Pulled together 25 minutes for a 45-minute set. Fuck yes. Like a champion.
So terrible. It wasn't so terrible, but it was on life support.
But did you do crowd work though for the rest of the 20 minutes to make up for it? What did you do?
I didn't know how to do crowd work efficiently. I'll just go up there and just... But then that gig was scary because that was the gig at Colorado Mesa University. And that gig, was it 2014, 2015? I don't remember. One of those two. And so I was there, and they were upset that they were bringing me in as a liberal campus event. And so the conservative group on campus decided that they wanted to hold their own conservative event and do a pro-life rally at the same time. And so then there was a protest, and there was a woman holding a sign that said pro-manly man. What
does that mean? So, what does that even mean? Okay.
And then there was a protest to protest the protest because the liberals came out to protest the So I got connected. I got sandwiched in the middle. And from that, I made lifelong friends. And, they had me come back and be their Pride March, whatever, the commander. I don't know what they call it. They call it like the person who leads the parade for their pride. And so it was really cool, but that's kind of what happened.
I was gonna call it Tiny Penis, the man that had to lead the parade.
No, it was a woman. It was a woman.
Oh, it was a woman. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reagan Girl. Her like screen. She's a blogger. Reagan Girl. Pro manly man. Pro guns. Pro manly man. That's like her slogan. Yeah.
Not much has
pro
changed.
Life, pro guns, pro manly man. Yeah.
Their slogans haven't changed much, have they? It's pretty much the same. That's the same shitty slogans today that they have. Pro man.
She called herself Reagan Girl, so I don't know. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I hope somebody gives her the memo. He's dead. But I hope somebody passes her the memo on. Like he passed on.
They're stuck in the past, right? So we don't know.
He's gone. So all right. So you go do this, and then you're like, holy shit! I gotta what? Work on more material. I gotta get my material together. Like, what are you doing?
So at this point, I'm like, all right, like I did that, and actually, it was like a proud moment. I knew. I'm not going to tell you who this person is, but the way I got into stand-up is I watched a special from a comedian, and this was like a really like famous comedian on television. And I watched the special, and it was okay. And so I was like, well, if this person can get this famous being okay, all I need to be is really okay. And so I do it. What else am I doing with my life? And so I was proud because I've always been the type that, like, you're an empowerment. You always want to grow, right? So, like, the fact that I completed the project, even at a B-, it's like a 6th grader completing a 10th grader project and getting a B-.
Sure. That's right. You're killing. Yeah.
Right? For somebody who's 2.5 years in, like, fine. Yeah. Great. Whatever.
Right. That's right.
So I start, and Helen Hong was really helpful. Do you know Helen Hong?
I love Helen Hong. She's great.
Helen Hong gave me the best piece of advice. She was like, Aidan, if you really want to get good, you need stage time. And don't waste your time with open mics. So I've only really been to 3 open mics in my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
With open mics, what you want to do is book your own room and trade spots. Because that is where, we are...
Yeah.
Valuable, right? And so that's why I became a producer fast, right? I started running like 3-4 rooms because that's how I wrote 25 minutes of material in like 8 weeks. Because I was like, all right, I had 8 spots for my, and I would book people who I really liked, like you, or I booked because you did my clown room show. I remember you in a white jumpsuit.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then I would book people who would book me on there. So I had a show every night of the week, and I would write 5 minutes of material, go up Monday, cull through, go up Tuesday, fix whatever, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and by the end of the week, I would have 5 minutes of mediocre material that lasted through 6 rounds. So I was real purposeful about how I was creating. Because that's what NLP will help you do, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
So I was really happy, and I continued that track, and
I mean, and now you're killing it. Aidan, I know. I mean, people like you and I, who have been through a lot, early on, and we hold a positive attitude, and we keep trucking along, we keep pushing. You also suffered another loss. You had a boyfriend for the very longest time that I met. He was a lovely, lovely person. And then he got sick. And so are you comfortable talking about him a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know it can be painful. I know it can be. I know it can be painful. So I just don't want to overstep any boundaries.
I write about it in my book, like really, like so. I love it
because it's therapeutic too, right? When you talk about it, it's therapeutic. Does it do that for you when you talk about it?
It changed my life. It actually literally changed my life and the way I think and the way I do things. It changed everything for me completely, and it changed the framework of empowerment for me. And for the rest of my life, It was absolute. Yeah.
I mean, when along the line, what, did you meet your boyfriend? And you guys were together for what, like 5-10 years or something? You got
5 years, yeah.
5 years together. And then did he get cancer? Is that what he got?
Yeah.
What kind of cancer?
We don't know because, like one day his lymph nodes blew up, like were big. Jesus. And so we took him to the hospital and it had spread so far that they don't know where it originated. So there was some in his liver and stomach and, I think, like, we don't know, like lymph nodes. There was none in his brain, and which we were glad about, but it was all over him and it took him fast. So his lymph nodes got big in March of 2018, and he was gone by June of 2018. Yeah.
Wow. So it was already like what, stage 4 cancer when you guys caught it? Yeah,
it was very quick. Mm-hmm.
You know about Ryan Talmo, right? Ryan Talmo. Yes. So, did he have a similar thing as Ryan Talmo? Because Talmo had like swollen nodes too. He had cancer. Also.
I think he has lymphoma.
Right? Yes.
And Michael, I think it was Talmo survived, and with Michael, it was so beyond repair. It was so beyond repair, and yeah. I mean,
Aidan, you're here you are with somebody that you love and you care for, and you guys have a great relationship. I mean, I've met a few times, and he was just such a sweetheart, and when I heard about him, it really broke my heart and made me really sad. I mean, what's going through your mind? Do you ever look at your life? Do you ever have these moments? Because I do. That sometimes, when it's like all quiet or at night, you're like just sitting and you're just kind of reflecting on what's happened, but it almost feels like all that shit that happened in your life happened to somebody else. Like you're watching it like a movie, like you're disconnected from it, but you're like watching all the shit that you went through. And then you're like, God damn it. Another fucking trauma, another pain, like another loss. Do you ever go through that?
I never really thought about it that way. But, this last one was the worst one of all of them.
Yeah. You're talking about Michael's loss. You're talking about Michael's loss?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
It was like, and it was worse than when you're in love with someone and like scenarios like, he's in so much pain, he's on drugs, and he's ripping out his IVs, but the nurses can't tie his arms down because he's also on an oxygen mask. And so I have to hold his arms down because for legal reasons, or having to get oxygen tanks for him and having to adjust the bed so he's sitting up because he can't lay back because he can't breathe. And hearing stories from the doctor to relay, like, hey, like, what conversations that I have to have with Michael, like, Michael, the doctor told me that you have 6 months to live. Would you like to do comfort care, which is a hospice, or do you want to go ahead? It was just like, and the thing about me and Michael was we really, my family, my story, so I'm not really connected to my family in that way. And Michael was also alone, so we were like Lone Rangers here, right? We had good friends like Tuesday Thomas and Cyrus Naderpour, and
sure.
those guys were there for me really, and a lot of people, Sean Polofsky was another one that was really great for me.
She's gonna be on next week in May. Actually, she's gonna be on too. I love.
Will you tell her I love her?
Oh my God, I will totally tell her. I love her to pieces. She's great.
And so, when he was in the ICU, she came. And so there were all these people who were great, but they're not like, there was no family unit. So it was basically he and I. And by that, I mean me, because he can't move, right? So it's like, it was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah. And when I lost him, I really went off the deep end. And this is where, like, I think the empowerment thing kind of backfired for me here, and it made me adjust the way I use empowerment, right? So what happened was I was like, actually did become suicidal there, and I was like, but I'm not gonna kill myself here. So it was like the thing that put it over, and I don't know if we're running out of time, let me know. But I like,
no, we have time. I don't have a life. I'm here. I'm here.
Well, I was talking to my mom. And
I'm here for all of it. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. So
you
said
my mom, and my mom said, I was here for you. I stayed for you when your grandma died. I stayed strong for you, so be strong for me as you're going through this painful thing. And I said to her, I said, then we should both kill ourselves because I don't see the point. You stayed for me. I'm staying for you. And it's a miserable life. So let's just go. We don't need to do this. And then I was like, wow, you got problems. You can't do that, right? So she was so distraught by that comment. And so I was like, all right, I'll stay, but I can't stay feeling like this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking to be happy. And my first tactic was the traditional empowerment tactic, which is like, all right, fix stuff here, and then let's go. Like, go out with friends, do things, go out with friends, work, like, get on stage every single night, talk about it. And I went nuts. It was just like, go, nonstop. And I had like 3 panic attacks as a result. And so that's when I realized, okay, no amount of doing or working to fix here is going to fix my broken heart. And I'm an NLP person. No amount of anchoring or spinning my feelings out. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Method, anchor, nothing would work. It would work for a day. I would do the circle of excellence. You know about that, the ring and the stepping into the circle. None of that. Nothing worked. I was too gone.
Yeah.
And I fell into drugs at this time too. I was like, I just need to not feel this. So, I was like engaging in destructive behavior around this time as well. It was really difficult, gnarly during this time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can I ask what kind of drugs?
Methamphetamine.
Wow. Yeah. Are they easy to get or are they difficult to get?
You know what? In the gay world, there's this thing called party and play, where you kind of go and you sleep with a bunch of guys and you smoke meth together and then you get high. So, like, that's kind of like... And the thing is, Mona, you've known me for years.
Yes.
This is how I am, not on that drug.
I know!
So imagine... I had nowhere to go. This is what happened. I would be fine for, like, an hour, and then I would be like...
Wow.
I would get so paranoid. I'd be like, oh my God, paranoid, right? So the party and play culture in the LGBT community is a big problem, actually. People get together and they smoke meth and they fuck for 15 hours. It's kind of what.
Wow.
Yeah. And so,
do you not get hungry or thirsty or tired in the process?
You don't notice anything. You don't notice anything. You just get so horny you just fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
And that drug makes you crazy.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Oh, well, I live in West Hollywood, so I have heard about it, and I've heard about it. But I didn't know the magnitude of it. 15 hours, god damn, Aidan, who got that kind of time?
2-3 days. I take so like now I'm clean from it, right? But like it's like in the beginning there, I was like using it every 3 or 4 days. Luckily, I never got to the point where I was like using it every single day. I was like using like once a week kind of deal.
Right, because you're processing pain. Right, you're saying I don't want to feel anything. It's interesting when I hear you say that. In around 2009, 2010. Before I discovered stand-up comedy, I went through a miserable breakup. I mean, I was madly in love with this man, and I went through a horrible breakup. And I remember I used to go to my therapist. Shockingly, I did something constructive. And I went to my therapist. I would go to my therapist, and I'm like, "Can you give me something where I don't feel anything? I don't want to feel anything." So I know exactly that pain that you're talking about. Maybe not so much it's a different kind of a loss. Of course, you lost him forever. I didn't, I lost him because this man moved to another country. But holy shit, yeah, that need to be like, I don't want to fucking feel this pain. I don't want to feel it. Give me something, right? So, so how long were you doing that where you were like, okay, I don't need to, it's okay. Like, did you start going to therapy? Like, what made you come out of it?
I had two events that happened major. One event was I was supposed to go away. Did I lose you? Okay. I was supposed to go away to Thanksgiving. I was supposed to go to Italy with the guy that I was kind of seeing at the time that we were partaking in drugs with. And I found out that he did something with a friend of mine. And so I wasn't going to go. And I had cleared the schedule for 10 days to go to Italy. And I did not go. So it was Thanksgiving week. And I had 10 days of nothing. And it really came to a head, didn't it? Because here I am, the first Thanksgiving without Michael. I'm lonely. I had this breakup happen. And I just broke there. And then I had actually Jackie Monahan. You know who that is? Yeah. Because she came and met me, and we, I'm very lucky to have good friends here. So she met me, and then we talked about how she said she was like, what you want to do is figure out what it is you're missing from Michael emotionally and give that to yourself, because it's all about emotions. And I was like, where did you hear this? And she was like, Abraham Hicks, who gets messages from the universe, something like that. And I was like, this girl's crazy. But all weekend she was like, listen to this video. I was like, fine. I'm sitting here crying. I'll listen to the video. So I listened to the video, and the argument is that at the end of the day, everything is emotional. So why do we want a relationship? Because we ultimately want that feeling of safety and security. Why do we want to make a lot of money? Because we want a sense of power, or maybe we want a sense of fun, whatever. And so everything at the end of the day is emotional. And they were referring this to the law of attraction. Actually, they were just saying like, so give yourself the emotion and then the law of attraction will follow. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to feel better. I could not care. I don't care. Keep your money. I can't feel like this. This is when you are in that level of pain, just do whatever.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, so what if I take all the empowerment tools that I had in NLP and I apply it directly to the result of an emotional rather than tangible? So before I'd be like, all right, I want money. Let's go. Let's make money, right? I can't, like, generally, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with Tony Robbins' work. I've did NLP, traditional NLP. He does NLP also, but it's a lot of empowerment is about you can do it to improve the situation of your life, giving you hope to improve the situation of your life rather than your emotional state being the end goal, right? But you can do it to affect change here. And what I wanted to do was just affect change here. And so I started trying to apply. I took out my big book of NLP, everything I know, and I started trying to figure out how I might be able to apply all those concepts to an emotional result. How do I get to an emotional result? And so when I would miss Michael, I'd be like, oh my God, I miss Michael. No, stop. I'm folding in everything into this. What emotion am I missing from Michael? Security, safety. Okay, great. Let's give myself security and safety. Is it going to be through my talking? Is it going to be through my thoughts? Is it going to be through... And it started making me feel empowered because I was systematically giving myself those emotions that I was craving and creating my own emotional... I was getting emotionally empowered.
Right. It sounds like you were creating your own emotional sanctuary.
Yeah. And of course it's different, and the thing is, like, emotions are so not understood much by the people at all. Really, it's just suck it up or whatever.
That's right. Especially from the cultures we come from. It's like, we don't talk about it, whatever. I was telling my brother called me up one day and I was telling him, I was like, hey man, I'm really, really down. I'm just like, my depression is like kicking my ass today. And my brother's like, just walk it off. You just need to walk it off. And I was like, I'm going to go now. I was like, I got to fucking hang up because you're pissing me off.
Yeah, there's an implication there's something wrong with you if you're suffering emotionally, And so,
that's right.
So I started applying those tools to get myself, and the thing is, you do this for 3-4 months, and big difference. I had a big jump, a big jump. I went from using drugs once a week to about once a month, which is actually pretty big jump for
That's right.
drugs such as that. Like, that's pretty good.
That's right.
So and then I went to I'm pretty happy, I'm pretty good. And then people started noticing. They were like, what are you doing? And then they were like, what are you doing? And so I told one of my friends, I'm doing this. And she was like, you have to write a book about this. Talk to my friend who is a book coach. She heard my story and she was like, I'm going to give you a scholarship to my program and we're going to get your book done. And that's how the book got written.
That's wonderful. That's so wonderful.
Yeah. And that's why I actually do believe in the law of attraction, practically, because when people notice that you are at a higher if you think about people who want to hire you, people want to work with you, people want to be your friend, they generally want to work with people who are at a high vibe, right?
Right. High vibe, you're vibrating at a higher level, for sure. I mean, what is everything on this planet? It's just energy and vibration. That's all it is, right? Some are low vibration, some are medium vibration, some are high vibration. So I 100% agree with you on that. 100%. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's where I learned about the emotional empowerment thing. And I think it's the way to go.
Right? I agree with you. Aidan, how long have you been doing comedy for now? 10?
2012.
2012. Oh, you started a year after me.
Yeah.
I started in 2011.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I started in 2011. That's when I just fell into such severe depression. I just didn't know what to do. I was like, either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to come out of something. And my therapist at the time gave me one of the greatest advice. She gave me this amazing advice. She said, I promise you, she's like, I can't feel your pain for you. She said to me, she's like, what I can do, she said, is that I'm going to be your cheerleader throughout your journey of feeling and experiencing this pain. I'm going to be on the sidelines. I'm going to be here cheering you on, guiding you, helping you have a shoulder to cry on. She goes, but I promise you, Mona, that if you feel and you go through all this pain and experience all this, there is this incredible person waiting on the other side for you that you won't even believe exists. Yeah. And that's how I friggin' discovered stand-up comedy, man. Yeah. Holy shit. She literally changed my life. So just like you, I'm a huge advocate of, personal empowerment growth, or, go to therapy, whatever it takes, figure your shit out, because nobody is responsible for your happiness but yourself. You are responsible for your own happiness.
It's really irrelevant whether it's fair or unfair. It really is not.
That's correct. It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter if shit happened to you, shit didn't happen to you. You know what? At the end of the day, you are responsible for your happiness. I remember when I started telling my family, which took me a little bit to be like, I go to therapy. And my mom was just like, why? Why you go to therapy? You're not crazy. And I was like, it's not about being crazy. I'm just processing a lot of bullshit and a lot of trauma, and you should also go to therapy. And I was talking about it with one of the guests about a week or 2 weeks ago. My mom, who has experienced a shit ton of trauma as well. Her family didn't really give a fuck about her. My mom got married at 17. I was her 5th child at the age of 23. My father was incredibly physically abusive. Not just that, my father used to do this thing where he would get into fights with my mom, and he would lock us out the house, and we would sleep on the sidewalk all night. Yeah. And I remember this one night. That's major fucking trauma, right? I remember this one night, my brother, who's 4 years old, who's 2 years older than me, he was crying and he was like, Dad, I'm so thirsty. Can you open the door, please, Dad? I'm crying. But he was crying. And I remember as a kid, like looking at my brother, like crying. And my father would not budge. He was just like, fuck that. Fuck her. Fuck the 5 children. Let them fucking, rot on the sidewalk. And this is not just one incident. These are like multiple incidents where shit like that. But you carry that in you, like it's in your body, it's in your fucking mind. You have all this trauma and you're like, how the fuck am I going to process this shit? And that's why NLP and therapy and all this are really great tools to take care of that.
Say like when you have an emotional injury, like having a cut on your arm, right? So if you have a cut on your arm right there, and in order for it to heal, it needs to see the light. But a lot of us get this cut and we're so afraid of it, we wrap it in duct tape and now it's infected. And then we get triggered by other things that might brush up against it and it hurts. And so we take the duct tape off and let it see the light of day and let it heal so that we can touch it without having it hurt us.
100%. My girlfriend, Nika, who was on here as a guest also, I met her as a guest and then we ended up becoming really good friends. And she calls people like us who don't have good relationships with our families and have had so much trauma. She calls emotional orphans. She calls us. She's like, we are emotional orphans. And I was like, yes, that is such a accurate, statement. But your book, when you wrote your book out, and first of all, where can people find the book? Because I do want people to go and find the book.
Actually, I have a website that I launched. It became a movement, right? So I have the book here. But they said that I think it's a good thing to have this here. So that's my book.
I love that. I love that.
Being Ye is a superpower, so I'm very Superman here, right?
I love it. I love it.
I launched the book, and there's a QR code at the end of each chapter that relates to the concept that I'm presenting. So I use my story as a way to present concepts. Actually, it's kind of a technical book. It talks about emotional momentum and reticular activation system and how to override that, and all of that. All of the reasoning and linguistics, all of that I use to get out of it. And so you can actually find this book on my website that came as a result of it. It's theartofbeingye.com, and on there's funny videos from, I need to talk to you. I want you to be a part of this. There's like funny videos from comics that I love that have an empowering message behind it. There's video blog posts that have, all these, concepts that might help people in pain. The books there. There's also like different podcasts that have, differing, very positive messages within them. And so it kind of became like its own thing. And so
I love that.
You can find it
so much.
Yeah.
I am curious, Aidan, do you have a pretty big Korean following, or, do you have a pretty big Asian following? I mean, how does the Korean community react to what you've done and, that you're putting out your truth and being so incredibly courageous and just an incredible human being to just put this out there? How do you have any kind of relationship with the Korean community or not really?
I get lots of likes from people in the United States who are in admiration of the Korean K-pop and all of that community. But I'm not sure that I get necessarily support from Koreans, right? Because it's a little, the topics are a little, it's a little, And similar to Margaret Cho, right? Margaret Cho.
Yes.
I'm not sure that she has a Korean following. Her content is a little out there for the Korean.
Right. Most of her following are gay men, isn't it? Like, she has a very LGBTQ driven following.
Oh, yeah. And she wrote the foreword to my book, actually.
Oh, my God. I love that. Margaret's the best. I love Margaret. She was on the podcast. She's amazing. I just love her to pieces.
Incredible. I think she's so, and it's so awesome because it was the year of 1994 when I came to the US, and that was the year she had her sitcom All American Girl. And I saw an Asian person on TV, and for her to be my friend and work my book, amazing. Really cool. Really, really cool.
Does that make you emotional sometimes? You're just like, oh my God, here I was, like, as this young Asian kid coming to America looking at this amazing woman, and now she's like forwarding my book.
I should be, it's a lot of, it's funny. We get busy, right? We get busy and we don't really think about it. It's like just like everyday thing. But actually, if you sit down and think about it, it's actually a really big deal. And the thing is, like, I could do a stronger job of being more appreciative day to day of how far I've come. I think I could do better about that because I tell myself a lot. I'm like, let's go. I'm sure you do the same thing. We're like,
no. That's a trauma. That's also a trauma response, Aidan. You know, that over-driven, that over-ambitious. That's also very much a trauma response. And I think I don't know if this happens for you, but for me, if I slow down, like tonight after this, I'm going to make some nice dinner. I'm going to sit down and decompress. Yeah. I tend to have a lot of demons that come and whisper in my ear sometimes. And I have to shoo away the demons, right? There has to be like the adult Mona has to step in and be like, you know what? You're not valid. You're not welcomed. We don't have to talk about you. You no longer hold power in my life the way you used to. So I don't know. Is that a fear of yours that if you slow down or if you take a moment and, process it, that, the pain will come creeping in or thoughts will come creeping in? Is that a thing for you?
I think that it's a little of both. I love being active and I love working, but I also have some kind of link to worthiness there that I should look at, And the thing is, like, I do, like,
I have the same thing. I totally have the same thing. So I totally get it. I'm like, if I don't work, then I'm not worthy, or, oh my God, like, I'm getting left behind.
Yeah. Who am I? What am I doing? And, with like the whole, like, TikTok and Clubhouse, and there's always a new app, and I'm like, I need to keep up, right? Like, so it's easy to get caught in that trap, but it's good to take a pause and remind yourself of how far we, like the B-, right? Like that's a really proud moment. Like, even though that was a proud B-.
That's a very proud B-. I've started doing this thing where I like to go by the ocean, like Santa Monica Pier or something, and then just go and sit there with my dog. I have a 6-year-old pit bull I love to go and sit down with, and I just shut my eyes and I just give like 5 or 10 minutes of gratitude. I'm just like, I'm so grateful to be here. And I feel like there's just something so magical and spiritual about giving gratitude, because it puts a lot of things in perspective when things are not necessarily going your way, We're
very lucky, you and I. We're very lucky. And like, people might listen and be like, oh, like, how can you say you're lucky or whatever? But
from the odds that we
went through what we did.
Yes.
And able to turn that into something where we can move forward with. That means we can get through anything, really, honestly.
That's correct.
And so,
that's
pretty good.
It's interesting. Yeah, honestly, I think it's a little bit more than. I think it's stellar. I think it's outstanding. I think we are. I think because we are such outstanding people, and I think I'm actually having even a hard time saying it even to myself right now, but I'm gonna power through it. But we are really extraordinary and outstanding people to come from the kind of adversity and even the kind of cultural backgrounds that we come from, and to fight through fucking all of it, and just stand here and stand our ground and be actually really fucking good at what we do. Like there's just so much power in that,
What I like about you, and maybe you're not like this at all, but this is the impression that I get of you that I've always respected. Yeah. Like, you are who you are, and that's it. And I'm not really getting a lot of punches. Like, you kind of have a solid like ground of who you are, and who you present on stage is kind of who you are off stage. Like, it's not you are who you are. That's it. I'm not surprised at all at how you are on here, because this is how you are off stage with me. This is how you are when you're on stage. It's the same person everywhere, right? So, that is somebody who has found their grounding and knows who they are, and it comes from a grounded place. And with all these things knocking us around left and right, to be able to discover that and stay true to who you are and come from that place always is really impressive. I like people like that.
Well, thank you very much, Aidan. Well, the respect is mutual because I feel the exact same way about you because I'm just like, ever since I've known you, I think today we've definitely gotten much deeper into your story and much deeper about your life. But I mean, I was always impressed by you, but I'm like 10 times more impressed by you, you know? So like, so yeah, it's a Friday for both of us. Aidan, I swear to God, I don't even know where the fuck an hour and 24 minutes went, but that's how long we've been.
Fun. It's fun.
That was so much fun. That was so much fun. So you're in Palm Springs. You're relaxing. You're chillaxing. Do you have any shows coming up? Where can people follow you? Where can people follow your social media? Tell us everything.
I would love for everybody to go to my website, theartofbeingyay.com, and subscribe to my newsletter. I send out a newsletter every Friday where I talk, I send like a fun concept and all these kinds of free, tools and resources. And Mona, you're going to be featured on there real soon because I really made a website where people can go and they can feel it's like a yayful lifestyle kind of web, where people can go and enjoy comedy that is positive and empowering and feel good and have a laugh and find tools.
Yes.
So I would love for everybody to go there. That would mean the world to me. I have a bunch of shows coming up. I have one in San Diego on Wednesday, but whatever. I want you to go to the website and join my mailing list. And you can buy my book from there if you want, but join my mailing list and say hi. Say hi to me, please.
Perfect. Aidan, I love and adore you. I'd love to bring you back on again on my live stream, but this was so much fun. So thank you so much.
It's so good to see you, Mona.
So good to see you. I will see you soon, my friend. When you come back, I'll hit you up and we'll try to get together soon.
Okay, awesome. And I've seen you twice already, so I'm sure we'll be on another Asian show soon.
I'm sure we are. I'm sure we are because the fucking racists aren't going nowhere. So yeah, they'll be out there.
Good.
God damn it. All right, Aidan.
Love you. Take care.
Love you too. You too. Have fun. All right. Enjoy. Take care.
All right,
bye. That was my lovely and beautiful friend, Aidan Park. I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. I hope you guys did too. You guys, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. You can go to youtube.com/Mona Shake Comedian. I'm also of the same name on Facebook and on TikTok. And also you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mona's Comedy. You guys, I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Get vaccinated if you can. Stay safe out there. Have a good night.